Hey everybody, today we're going to be working on a Trail 110. It has some clutches slipping, so we're going to pull the clutch cover, check the filter down there, and replace the clutch disc. Okay, so I've never done this, but I got a book, and we'll see what we can do. So, previously I had taken off the foot pegs as well as the skid plate, and I drained the oil. Needed an oil change anyway, so I drained the oil. And now the only other thing I had to do was take off my foot peg here, or my Kickstarter, excuse me. And so I took a little black Sharpie, I marked the line so I get it back to where it came off. 10mm bolt, pulled that out. I'm just going to put the bolt back in here so I don't lose it. And then we'll get to taking this thing apart. Okay? You can still see it's dripping a little bit of oil there. So, if you don't have one of these, I recommend you get one. Okay, it's just an impact driver, real easy. But the most important part is to get the proper screw heads or screwdriver bits for these heads. These are JIS. They're kind of soft, and if you use the wrong screwdriver on them, you'll round them. You'll have to drill them. It's just a pain. I got a set of these for, had 4 different Phillips bit, a straight bit. I think I paid 14 bucks on eBay. So I'm just gonna go around and pop all these loose, and then we'll take them out the rest of the way just by hand. I just wanna make sure I get them loose. So if you just hold in, put a little pressure on them, little light tap. As you press in on these, it can go 2 directions. It wants to twist it as you're pounding on it. So that was nice and easy, broke that loose. No stripping of the screws. So as you can see, it doesn't take a lot. Okay, you just want to make sure you get in there good. That one was nice and loose already. That one took a little bit more. This is the number. Should have my glasses on. This is the number 3. Okay. So that one's got a little gunk in it, and I want to make sure that this gets down in there and seats properly. So I like to get a pick and get all the dirt out of it. Okay, so I'll get a pick down in there, and I'll just clear that out so that this has plenty of room to get in there and not strip the threads, or strip the screw head, I should say, because you don't want to do that. Okay, that one's loose. That one's loose. Okay, so we're all loose. Now another thing I want to do, I'm going to be pulling this off, and I don't want to get any gunk inside the motor or anything, so what I'm going to do is take and try to clean this up real good before I even move it. Now that's a seal, rides on a shaft. I don't want to use a wire brush or anything on there, but there's nothing that says I can't use a little toothbrush or something to clean that up. Now this is just a bristle brush. So I'm going to get in there and try to get any dirt residue I can that would be on this that might fall into my motor before I go ahead and take this off. Do the same thing kind of all the way around. If I can get any of that off. Now down here on the bottom, obviously we've had from oil changes or whatever some oil leaking. I'll try to get in there and get the majority of that out if I can, whatever I can reach. Some things you're going to be able to reach, and obviously some things you're not. Okay, as like anything, just do the best you can. Okay, so that's pretty good. You can see all the dirt that came out down there. So now I'm going to get a little light on the subject too. Basically just so I can see. Now they say this comes out without that, maybe, we'll see. So I watched a few videos before this about doing this. I have it kind of propped up on a milk crate back here. I would consider it somewhat stable. Now pay attention, some of these bolts are longer than others. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is go find a piece of cardboard. Okay, so I'm gonna do like a crude drawing here. Obviously this is gonna be up. Okay, we got a bolt hole, a bolt hole, a bolt hole, bolt hole. We'll put this as a KS for Kickstarter. Another bolt hole, another bolt hole, bolt hole, and bolt hole, and then we'll put this as the filler. Okay, so I'm gonna go like that, kind of get everything marked out, then I'll I didn't lock the chuck on this drill, so consequently it came loose. For a lot of years, and I mean a lot of years, I didn't know these drill chucks locked. So I just always thought tighten them as tight as you can go and then go from there. But on the Milwaukee drill, you tighten it as tight as you can go. And it even says it on there. But you tight as you can go and then twist it back till it clicks, it will not come loose. If it's in this position and you start and stop, the centrifugal motion will loosen that chuck up. But you just come back and it locks it. Never knew that. So now we'll match this up where we're at. Okay, Kickstarter. Long one goes there. Short one goes there. And I'll just work my way around. Now, I'll take this and see if it's loose, which, yeah, it's gonna loosen right up. If not, I could have used a, okay, as you can see, it's sliding up off that shaft. I'm gonna go try to be nice and gentle here, where I don't ruin that seal. They are available, but if I can do it without ruining it, that's good. Also, when you do this, it's a good idea to buy a new gasket. Now, I got this out without messing it up, so I could probably reuse that gasket, but I went and bought a gasket, so I'm not gonna reuse it. So there's what the inside of that case looks like. Pretty happy. There's no metal shavings in the bottom. I've never had this open before, so I am gonna take a magnet, clean off a magnet real well. Okay, get it nice and clean. Make sure there's nothing on it. And then I'm going to run it through the case and see if it picks up anything. Just as kind of a little test. Okay, so I'll take it and I'll just run it right along here, where there might be some metal fragments hanging out. So I got some oil on there, but no real metal, so that's good. Okay, so now I'm going to go around and try to get that gasket the rest of the way off. Okay, without leaving too much gasket behind, because the more gasket I leave behind, I got a little bit loose there, and then I'll just try to work that around. We're done. Okay, so that gasket is in perfect shape. In theory, I could use that again. I'd be almost 100% certain that that's the original Honda gasket, and but we're not going to use it. We will set it aside, but we're not going to use it. Okay. Now I'm going to get this filter out of here and check it out. Once again, you can just stick that pick in there and slide it out. And man, I am happy with that. There's one little piece of what looks to be like maybe some sort of gasket material. Nothing really. Now that went in a certain way. Alright, so sorry for the brake lever being in the way there, but I really didn't want to take that thing off. So we have our shifter fork here, okay, that comes through, that this rides on. So I'm going to take that off, and I'm going to put these just how they come off. Now this interacts with that. Okay, I see that. This lever points right to the middle. Okay, so that's pretty simple to go back to where it belongs. Okay, so we have a spring, and I'm just going to put these upside down, directly how I take them off. Helps me know how to put them back together. Okay. I'm just kind of checking the teeth. Yeah, so that points directly to the middle. Okay. Now this piece here, is just a shaft, and okay, it has what looks to be a spring inside it, and that goes in the middle, and that will twist all the way around. So I don't have to worry about that. That's going to self-center. I don't like to just pull things apart and then try to figure out later how the hell they go back together. So that's going to go like that, and I'm going to put that upside down right on my other parts that I just pulled off, okay? So now we know that goes back together right. Alright, so we've consulted the book. It looks like we need to remove that locking plate. So we'll keep that open. We're going to test this to see if it goes in there, which it does not. I gotta go get a different screwdriver. Okay, I'm back with my kit. This is made by Rhino Tools. So this is the number 2. Okay, that fits pretty good. Also have a number 1. That fits, I would say, worse. It doesn't get down there deep enough. So we're going to go with the number 2. Same thing here. I'm going to use this to tap on them and loosen them. I don't know how tight they're going to be, but this just makes sure you don't strip screws. Okay, so that came out of there nice. We're going to do the same thing here. Okay, so those loosened up, nice. Okay, so that has a gasket on it too. Ooh, I didn't buy a new one of those. With a wet clutch, it's got oil on either side of it, so I don't know why we would need a gasket, but looks like I salvaged that one without any damage. So, and that bearing just falls right out. So it's kind of interesting. Yeah, that bearing just falls, or fell. Right out. See if I can get out there, you can see that. So those will be cleaned up, and then I'll lubricate that with oil before we put it back on. Okay, now that's still got some oil in it, so I'm gonna go get a new paper towel and get that oil out of there. So we'll just shove that in there and let it wick that oil out of there. I'll be back with you. Okay, I don't know if you can see down in there without any light, is right here. Oh, that's my dead battery. Right here There, it's better without any light. There's a tab. You can see this tab's out, all the way around the tabs are out, but that one's not. So I'm gonna need to open that tab up. So then we can get that nut off. So I'll just take this screwdriver. And get in behind it. Actually, I need a littler screwdriver. Probably the one I had earlier. Get in behind it. Okay. And just pry that tab out. Tab's pried out. Now we'll see how tight this nut is. Now I don't have the tool to get that off. But I'm just going to try to do it the old-fashioned way, if it's not too tight. Okay. I should be able to take a pair of needle nose, get it in the groove where I want it to be, hold this together, and with a set of vice grips, twist it. But how am I going to keep it from wanting to turn? Oh, that's right. There's some sort of lock thing you can put in there. All right, time to think. Plan. Well, whatever plan we're on, it's time to think. So I need to go that way. So it's going to want to come that way. So I got to go make some. Okay, I'm back. Well, you're not going to believe this, but there is no locking tool. It says place a copper penny in between the gears and then loosen it. So I had to go find a penny. I'm wanting to find kind of an older penny that I know is copper. I think they changed the composition of the newer pennies. So, I guess I take this copper penny, put it down in there, and then tighten that up against it. Well, that ain't what I'm looking for. Well, the clutch is going to slip, all right? That's kind of what it just did. Let's see here. Okay, copper penny. Well, that don't work worth a shit. All right, let me do some more reading. Okay, I'm back. So we have, after a little more reading, we have confirmation that I am a knucklehead. Okay, so we're going to take our penny, put it down there, turn that to where it engages, but that still turns. What am I missing here? Do I have to put it in gear? No. Driven gear should be a 1-to-1. All right? So I don't know what gear they're freaking talking about. So, looks like I'm gonna have to make me a tool. Good thing I got some extra sockets laying around. Alright, so it looks like I'm gonna have to make a tool to do this. So, I'm gonna get down here and measure this pretty close to outside diameter. And then I'm going to find a socket and pretty close outside diameter. I got these Harbor Freight cheapies, that's 7/8 laying around. Next size down, that one is just about perfect. So we'll go with that. Okay. And then I'm gonna test it and look down there. Yeah, that's about right. Okay. Now I'm gonna go take it over the lathe and trim it down flush. And then I will put some lines on it. 90 degrees. And then I'll get a die grinder out and I'll start making me a tool. Alright, so 20 minutes later, a few choice cuss words, and yeah, we're ready. Not quite. We're getting close though. Gotta find the right doohickey. There we go. Okay, so here's what I made. It's kind of crude looking, but it fits on there, and got an impact wrench, and I'm going to assume lefty loosey. Let's see, motor. That's drive shaft, that's going to go that way, that's going to go that way. We'll just assume lefty loosey because I don't see anything that tells me different. And voila! Okay, we'll put that over here in my pile. Now, look at that. She comes right off. It's got a sleeve back there. We're gonna leave on. And there it is. So now we'll take it up to the workbench. Ooh, we got some color in there. Look at that, huh? I don't know, that's probably not good. All right, so we got it up on the bench here. I've never taken a clutch apart before. But hey, what can go wrong, right? Okay, we'll get our trusty screwdriver. Kind of push that down a little bit. Start working that spring out of there. So that relieved the tension. So now, I'm going to back this out just a little. And I'm just going to lay these out. We'll move that up and out of the way. I'm just going to lay these out how they come out. Whew. Now that has clutch material on that side, and it has clutch material on that side. I'll have to compare that to a new one. Now these are kind of glossed up. So I guess that don't matter how it goes in there. No. Okay, those springs will set up there. Actually, so the whole reason why I'm taking this whole thing apart is because when it gets warm and I go to kickstart it, so there's the pins that the springs go on. So when I go to kickstart it, that must be my levers that come out, and that's just a thrust washer. Okay. Well, it looks like I got to do some reading. All right, well, I bought these probably 4 years ago, and I said, hey, I'm going to put these somewhere where I don't lose them. Well, I lost them for a while. So, definitely a different style clutch material. Do some measuring here. Okay, so that measures about 10. So that's 100. About 110 thousandths. Okay. That's about 105 thousandths. Now these look like they're metal with some friction pads on them. And these are almost, well, they're metal with some friction material on there. I'm going to do some reading here on you can sure tell this has gotten hot. I'm going to do some reading and figure some stuff out. Alright. Well, that's kind of a funny video, huh? Anyway, so after doing a bunch of reading, I'm going to order some new steels, I think, but in the meantime, I am going to put this back together. So I sanded them. Took some 220 sandpaper and kind of scuffed up the steels. We'll see how that's going to work. So in my book here, this is the clutch I have, which is the type 6. Okay. So I got my bottom steels here with the 4 pins. On top of that goes the next steel with no cutouts. Okay. And then on top of that goes the steel that has alternate cutouts, and on top of that goes the steel with just holes. So I'm assuming that I got some short pins that go, some short steels. Here's how I'm thinking it goes. I'm thinking it goes that, I'm going to do it outside, one of these, this, okay, short pins, and then this, you can see where they were, short pins, so that gives you space in between those two. That will just free space. Oh, hang on, let me throw a clutch disc in there. Then we'll go short pins, okay, like that. Then this, and then an all pin. And looking at this, I only had wear on 1, 2, 3, 4 of these, so that goes like that, I think. But that's how I'm going to put it together. So I've cleaned this all up. I've cleaned out the inside like they say. Got oil everywhere. So now I'm going to disassemble this. Take these out. I got my new discs soaking in oil. Take these out. This. Take these out because I don't need them. And then put this in. Then, new disc. As you can see, they're soaking in oil, lots of oil. Boom. Then, the one in the book that shows another disc. Then this one. Like I said, I could see the wear from those springs before, so that goes in. Then another disc. Then we'll put our top friction disc in. And you can see this one had some okay. And the pain in the butt part. That's getting this in. So Make sure that's good and clean. We'll start over here. Maybe I can get some light on the subject now that it's getting dark. There we go. We'll get this in, we'll push this down and get it started. Okay, started. Okay. So everything I read said make sure real sure these are inserted into the grooves. So I'm gonna go around and that's in, that's in, that's in. That's in. I don't think that's in the right groove because it's not wanting to go all the way out. Maybe I'll put it there. A wider groove. So if I start there, there's no pin there, wider groove, allows that to expand a little more. There we go. I like that a whole lot better. So that's in good, good, good. Okay, now they say should spin one way and not the other. One way. That's kind of stiff, but I think it's because I got a bunch of oil in there. And it's so we'll go throw it back on the bike and see what happens. If all else fails, I can do it again. All right, so we're back on the bike. And we're gonna set the clutch aside for a second. And we're just gonna come in here and clean all this up. Make sure it's good and clean. I like to use some of these lint-free kind of rags and anywhere that there's still some gasket material on there, I will I'll use a knife or scraper, or dental pick. That dental pick, if you sharpen the edges of them, they almost act like a scraper, and you can just get that residue right off. And the nice thing is you don't do any damage to the cases, which you don't want to do. Okay, a little bit. Your new gasket will make up for that, okay? But any big chunks, you definitely want to get on. And make sure they're not getting down in your motor. Key. Don't be in a hurry. It's better to do it right once than to do it many times wrong. Okay? So that clutch is going to go over here on my, and I'm going to slide most of this junk out of the way so I can get in there a little bit. Okay, now I can get in there a little bit. I'll come back when I'm done here. Alright, so we got that cleaned up nice. I don't see why any reason why that wouldn't seal up nice. So I'm going to stick this back on here. Just go back and forth till you get it to drop down on there where it belongs. Okay. And then we need to take our lock washer. We need to put that in there, and it indexes the same way. It kind of drops down in those teeth, so make sure it's dropped down into the teeth. Then we're going to take our nut and kind of inspect it a little bit, make sure it's good and clean. So I know this has a torque spec on it, but in all honesty, it's keyed in there, and I'm not going to be able to get a torque wrench on it and tighten it to get a proper torque. So it's going to go together basically the same way it came apart, which is just a little tap of the gun and snug it up and see where we're at. That's probably good. I'll take and I'll bend this tab over. Might have just went a freaking hair or two. Nope, it went in there. So I got that tab bent over. Okay, that thing ain't coming apart. All right, new gasket time. So So before the new gasket, we need to put our oil filter in. So I am going to just make sure it's good and clean. Okay, so I'm going to clean it off pretty good with a rag here. And that looks pretty good, but I'm going to take some carb cleaner and just give her a little spray. As you know, carb cleaner is good for anything. Okay, and then we're just going to slide it in. So that's in. Take our new gasket. It goes right over the dowel pins. Keeps it in place. Okay. Which is perfect. We've cleaned our cover. Oh, I can't do that yet. I still got to put these other parts on yet. Maybe I should wait on this. Quit getting oil dripped on it. Getting ahead of myself here. Okay, next up is this. So that goes in there. Get our screws going in there. Get our proper screwdriver that we need. Okay, we'll reverse this, and to do that, you just kind of push it in and twist it. I'm sure there is a torque spec on these too, but they weren't terribly tight, and I'm not going to put them back in terribly tight, but I am going to give them a little bit of a whack. Okay. Sure that's good enough to hold where I need to hold. Okay, now we got our bearing, and I'm gonna go dip our bearing in that oil that we had over here. So it'll be full of oil. So I got that dipped, and let that slide right down in there. Okay. Now we can take this and that's going to go in there like that. Okay. Then we can take our activator shaft. It's gonna go on there like that. And I guess that probably goes like that. That would be my guess. And that just goes right up there in the center. And then probably need to take and loosen this, adjust it all the way out. We'll get this on. I think what I'm going to do is drop that spring out of there. So that thing there just wants to slip and slide and not stay centered. I'm pretty sure this is going to go like that. That needs to go over that and get all lined up, right? Just like that. And then that will go like that. Oh. So, how are we going to keep this thing in? Well, we'll do the old-fashioned. I'm going to dry this with paper towel so there's no oil on it. And then I'm going to smush some grease in there. And then I'm going to adjust it to the center. And drop that on there. We'll take this other part with the spring and put it where it belongs. Now that's centered up nice. That's where it belongs. Let me dry my hands off here. Come in with the new gasket. Okay, on goes the cover. Now I've also put some grease, and I'll put a little grease on this shaft too. Well, it's got enough, and I got grease on there, so here we go, nice and slow. So I'm coming down over that nice and easy. We are in. That lined up perfect. Okay. And then we just put our screws back the same way we got them out. All right, well, I looked through the book, no torque specs found. So we're just gonna kind of go use this, not go crazy, but just tighten them up a little. The book says secure tightly, or tightly secure. Yeah, okay, nice. Thanks for that. Kind of surprises me actually that they don't have a torque spec. I'm just watching the screws, tightening them down. There we go. We can stand the bike. Oh no. Drain plug, torque. Okay, so tighten the drain plug 20 to 25 Newton meters. So we'll just do that. Okay, got that. Just reading the book, 1.1 quarts of oil. So we'll get that going here. And get her stood back up on the center stand. And we're gonna have to get this adjusted, so we'll take this off. Get a 14 millimeter on there. Sure calls for some special 14 millimeter because you can't get a regular one on there. Perfect. That's nice. Why? Why do you gotta do that? I mean, really. get it in all the nooks and crannies it's going to be in. So we'll do that.
Bike is flooded from when I laid it over.
When I tipped her over, so I was wrong. I thought it had 4,000 miles on it. It just has a little 3,300. I got the down tube cover and everything, and so so before I was having some slippage of the clutch from the Kickstarter. Boy, I need to get my wheel screwed. Oh yeah. All right, so we're just gonna let that sit there now, and we'll come back to it in a little bit and check the oil.